What's up everybody? So today is going to be pretty awesome. We're going to add some more sound to the 370Z. So I have the AAM Competition short tail exhaust system. This is basically going to be a muffler delete. So we got the 4-inch polished tips, really nicely built the way they're constructed and everything. And we got the stainless steel tubing, great looking welds. All the hardware, a little spacer for the brackets and clamps. And that'll of course replace the factory system. Basically the axle back muffler section will be replaced. And I would like to give a huge shout out to AAM Competition. They make so many performance parts for the Nissan sports cars, the 370, the GTR, and all the other cars. And a few months ago I drove a twin turbo 370Z NISMO that had the AAM twin turbo kit, so definitely check that video out in the description below along with AAM's website.
What we do here is go back.
The first step in the process, I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolts with all the flanges. They are 14 millimeter. So those 4 bolts are off. I recommend using a breaker bar. That makes it a lot easier, and of course the liquid penetrant probably helped out a little bit. So next up, we're going to remove this top bolt, 12 millimeter. That'll release this hanger, and then we will hold up the exhaust system and work on the upper hangers. And using some normal jack stands, we got them underneath the exhaust for when it drops. We're now going to use the same 14 millimeter. We have 3 bolts on each hanger. That's a lot easier than actually removing the rubber hanger. And then over on the other side, the exact same thing. So we now have all the 12 millimeter bolts out, the 3 from up there, so that hanger is completely free, and then the 12 millimeter ones on this side. So now the exhaust should be free floating. Now we just gotta pull it off of those studs and remove the entire muffler. So now there's a good look at the stock muffler, all the components, and we're gonna weigh everything in just a second. So after weighing the products, the stock muffler system is weighing in right at 29 pounds. And then the 2 new pipes and the chrome tips are right at 10 pounds. So to start with the installation, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the stock gaskets on the stock pipes. And then I'll take the new gaskets and place them on. And then to start prepping the new pipes to be bolted in place, we're gonna take some WD-40, get it all over these rubber hangers so I can pull this whole bracket off. Now I'm going to take those hangers with 1 triangle piece on each side, and that'll just be as a spacer, and then I'll bolt those back into place on each side, and then we'll work on getting the pipes back on. So we'll go ahead and slide the hanger on first. Should be pretty easy. Sliding that right in place. And now we'll line up the flange. Might have to push it forward a little bit. So now the pipes are loosely in place. These pipes are just hanging by the hangers. Now we'll go ahead and put the factory bolts back on. Maybe the NISMO is a little bit different to where you need the new hardware, but for this one at least, I'll just go ahead and reuse the stock stuff. Next up, we're going to go ahead and install the tips. Get 1 clamp on each side using a 10 millimeter bolt. You'll carefully take the tip out, and then we'll put the clamp on the tip. And then I'll go ahead and just tighten up the tip a little bit to get it a little snug. So working on the tips now, what I'm finding is no matter how hard you tighten these clamps, nothing really changes on the tip. It's still loose. So I'm gonna take the tips off and kind of go back to the drawing board to figure out how to make these tighten down properly, because this round whole piece of metal, there's no slots or anything in it, so I don't know how this clip is actually going to compress it to tighten it around here. So I might just take the tip off and cut a few slots in this piece of the metal. That way there's room for it to compress. So you want to carefully wrap this tip up. You don't want anything in the clamp to damage it or anything. Obviously, you want it to remain aesthetically good looking, being nice and chrome. So we're going to take the bubble wrap it came in, wrap it around the visual part, and then take a cloth like this and just wrap it around again. That way we don't get any scratch marks or anything unwanted. You don't want to clamp it down too much, you don't want to bend anything, but just wiggle the tip as you tighten it. You just want it snug enough to where it's not going to move when you're cutting it. And now we're taking this kind of saw with a metal cutting blade, and we'll go ahead and cut a straight line in it this way and then that way. And you want to make sure this cut goes all the way down, at least an inch. And then with all 4 of those slots cut, just take a towel and gently get off any metal shavings. You don't want to scratch anything. So that is now how it looks. We have 4 slots. And now that gives enough room for each individual piece to get pushed just enough to close it tight. So we're now back to the installation. We have our clamp, and it is a 10 millimeter. And then you want to line up, there's a weld spot in here, you want to line that up straight up top, that way the tip is correct. And then depending on how the other side fits, you may have to push this a little farther out or in, that way they're both even. Alright, and that tip is now installed just like the other one. So this one actually hangs down just a little bit more. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to those original rubber hangers and take that triangle spacer out of this side and put it into this side, and that should make them perfectly level. Now that piece is out, that side got brought up just a little bit, so now this side with it in should come down a little and they should be pretty level. So I've now completed the installation. Having those 2 shims on this side, there's a pretty good gap between the body and the exhaust tip. Then over on this side, it is about the same. They're pretty centered in the red, a little more gap on the inside for both sides, so pretty centered. And then the last thing you want to do is take the flange bolts and keep them loose while you do this installation, and then you can push this to one side or the other to help even it up. I have this flange actually pushed a little towards this way to keep this one even, and then that one is about centered. That way they both look about centered. And with all the bolts tight, I double checked the hanger bolts, they're all good. And then the clamp for the exhaust tip, those are nice and tight, and then the flanges are tightened down. So now let's start it up with the exhaust tips and see how it sounds. Well, there you go, everybody. That is the installation of the AAM Competition Short Tail Exhaust System. I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this maybe a 4 or a 5. Having to cut the tips like I did so the clamp could tighten them down takes a little bit of power tools to do that. I did try using a handsaw with the metal cutting blade, but nothing really happened, so you'll need some type of power tool to cut those slots. The tips should come like that. That'd be a lot better. Overall, though, it's pretty simple, removing the stock muffler and then bolting all these up. And then the overall fitment I like a lot. Very easy to make sure both sides are even. Both tips stick out just about the same. So overall fitment looks really good. I really like how these chrome tips look. They're not just rolled on the tip, they're actually the whole tip all the way in. So they look really good. It's all stainless steel, of course. So overall, it looks good. Just starting it up sounds pretty beefy. I will be doing a full comparison, comparing this to the stock one. But overall, not too bad of an installation. Just make sure you have some type of power tool to cut those slots in the tips. That way they go on very smoothly. So once again, huge shout out to AAM Competition. Definitely check out their website because they really do have so many parts for the 370Z and all the other Nissan sports cars. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, like our Facebook page, and if you followed us on Instagram, you would have seen a few pictures of these already. So definitely follow us on Instagram to stay up to date. So thanks for watching. We'll see you all next video.